guys. Welcome. This is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. We're doing a round two of this. First time being back in the studio after being away for a while. And we had some power issues, and usually we don't have any issues, but there was a power problem today, and just happened to notice that I wasn't getting levels. I was so anxious being back in the studio and wanting to record this for you guys and get live. And then we had a slight glitch, but I got to tell you, it's not often that we have a glitch like that because we have a really great setup here, and just appreciate you guys being with us. So we will go ahead and stream back on LinkedIn again, of course, onto Instagram once again. So again, I do apologize for that little mishap that we had, but I want to welcome you to Inspirations for Your Life. I'm so grateful that you're here with me. And this whole week, we're talking about a very, very interesting topic. That topic, ladies and gentlemen, is one that I hope will resonate with a lot of you. And so when we think about the master topic for this week, you know what that is, right? The master topic for this week is understanding fireworks in our lives. And so when we think about fireworks in our lives, we're talking about things that go boom, right? Things that can cause us to be uneasy or not the way we should be, right? Taking us off our regular game. And I think that can be a slight problem. And, maybe it comes down to what it is that people are doing or what it is that people aren't doing. I think that's a very, very problematic thing. And I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that it's important that you really get this, because if you don't get it, it's going to be a very, very big issue for everyone. First thing I want to say to you is that the granular topic for this week is fireworks of volunteering. Fireworks of volunteering. And so when we think about the fireworks of volunteering, a lot may come to mind. And hopefully you can appreciate what I'm going to share tonight. Does this make sense to everyone? I know a lot of you out there are saying, what fireworks can happen in volunteering? How many of you out there have ever volunteered before? I know I have. So when we're talking about fireworks, we're talking about the things that are going to take us off our track to being the best version of ourselves in doing that activity. Like we talked about work, and we talked about what a real firework is. Nothing explosive is going to happen with any type of chemical or fire, but we are going to have sometimes a friction. Let's say a non-meeting of the minds, when people have egos that are empowering, so strong that they want to run the whole world. So the one thing when we think about fireworks of volunteering, by the way, we're on Series 3, Show 28, and Episode 4. I will tell you that time constraints are a big problem. So you always should have your time mapped out. That is very, very important. And if you have your time mapped out, then you will find that you're not going to bleed over into other things. And so when you get this, then you'll appreciate the fact that where you're going or what you're doing is directly related to the actions you're putting forward. So if you decide to volunteer, and let's say somebody guilts you into saying, oh, you're only giving us 2 hours a week, or you're only giving us this, you should never let somebody guilt you. I mean, that is very, very important. And I know, ladies and gentlemen, that when you think about time, you say, gee, I want to give 2 hours a week, or I want to give 4 hours a week, or I want to give whatever it is, or 30 minutes, whatever it is. You give the time that you feel is best for you, and don't let anybody guilt you into saying, oh, that's all you're going to give? is an hour. That's all you're going to give us, 30 minutes. They should be so grateful that you've decided to give your time. Okay. So don't let somebody belittle you. And if that happens, walk away from that organization if you feel that there's no one else that you can turn to over there and get support from. Don't let somebody bully you. That's really important. When we think about volunteering, we think about skill matching. Okay. Skill matching is not a hard thing. And I know that when you are trying to find the right person for a job, and I'm saying a job, I'm really talking about a volunteering task. Now, I'm going to take one that I did, and hopefully you guys will appreciate. It's Habitat for Humanities. And you might say, gee, well, what kinds of volunteering do you do for Habitat for Humanities? Well, there are a lot of things you can do for Habitat for Humanities. You can help carry plywood. You learn safety. You are taught how to use power tools, how to use a hammer, how to use a nail, how to measure, how to cut. Okay. And nothing is more important for Habitat for Humanities than the welfare of people that they work for every single day. And knowing that when you can work with these people that you're building the house for, that's an amazing thing. So when you have any kind of volunteer organization, you have to have good volunteers. You have to have people that advocate you and support you, kind of like your cheerleaders, like the people that are going to really support you. That's very, very important. So when we think about time, that's number one. The second one, as I said, is skill matching. We can't have you volunteering to, let's say, teach somebody how to sing when you don't know how to sing, right? You need to have some experience in the field that you're going to volunteer. Now, when it comes to houses, you can learn that, right? Could you learn how to sing? Sure, you could. But what I don't want you to do is do something that you have no clue over, because if you do that, you're going to become very dissatisfied with yourself. You're like, oh, I don't know how to do this, and I don't know how I'm going to help anybody else. And you're going to become so disappointed with yourself, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, I have no idea. So that's one thing. The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, is something called a cultural fit. So a cultural fit, and we're not talking about discrimination, race, religion, sexual orientation, creed, color. We're talking about, do your values, do your reasons for volunteering align with the organization you're volunteering for? For example, maybe you're going to volunteer for a soup kitchen and offer to help serve food. I know I've done that many times, and that's a very rewarding experience. Also, after you serve, they also want you to sit down and either eat with the staff or the team and have a meal together, which I think is really humbling. And so when we think about a cultural fit, when I was out there and I was, let's say, scooping the food and helping them and, wishing them a good day, the cultural fit was that the organization was doing something to empower and help others. There's a lot of volunteering that sometimes happens, but it doesn't happen for the right reasons. So you got to make sure that when you choose to volunteer, you're with an organization that you believe in, that you support their mission, okay? And you have some track record of what they've done in the past. Now, if they're new and they've never done this before, then meet with the president, meet with the other people that have done other volunteer projects, and figure out, is this an organization that you want to be part of, or is it one that you'd be like, I don't really know if this is going to fit in for me? And it's okay if it doesn't fit in for you. The key is to find out, are you a cultural fit? Let me answer that question again. Are you a cultural fit for the organization? Okay. I'm talking about the volunteer organization, right? There are some ways that you can figure out if you're a cultural fit, and these are not hard things to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about things like your values, your vision, your ways of working, your language, your communication style. This organization is one where they're going to give you constructive feedback, consistent constructive feedback. Are you okay with that? your belief system. Do you believe in what you're doing? Do you believe in the mission of the organization? Is acceptable? And is the way they treat you and they treat others, is that the type of behavior you want to be part of? A cultural fit is important because if you don't have a cultural fit, people aren't going to be happy. People working, whether it's volunteer or non-volunteer, they're going to probably burn out and maybe leave. So when you get volunteers, you have to realize that they're sometimes hard to motivate because, again, they're not getting paid. Their pay is coming from, let's say, this intrinsic value inside of us. We want people to be volunteers for a long time. Are you somebody that's committed, or are you just here to, punch a clock for, a couple hours? We want people that are going to be the best that they can in the role that they're at. Not everyone is cut out to be a volunteer. Let's not, kid ourselves. But if you want to be a volunteer, there are many organizations that will be happy to have you. I think that's something that is like really remarkable. All right. And so when we think about, this cultural fit thing, it might not be something you understand tomorrow, but it's something that's going to grow on you, and you're going to realize whether you're with the right organization or you're with the wrong organization. I think a lot of people don't know what volunteering really means. And I think a lot of people have to understand the one thing. And that one thing is that we volunteer not because we have to, but because we want to, right? I've said this before many times. When you volunteer, you get this level of dopamine that basically is exuberated in your brain and body, and that gives us a natural high, so you want to do that. When you volunteer, it's important that you understand emotional impact. Now, there's positive emotional impact, and there could be negative emotional impact. Negative emotional impact usually happens because you're helping somebody, maybe someone in a very low state. Could be financial, could be other hardships, and you're doing everything you can, but you're not physically and mentally ready for this. So it's important that before you take this type of a volunteering opportunity, that it's not going to, let's say, short circuit you. So you want to make sure that you volunteer for the right levels, right? That you do those things and that you feel comfortable, because if you don't, you're going to leave, and you're also going to feel terrible about doing it, and you're going to feel really bad. And you're going to also have this real stigma of volunteering that you're never going to want to do it again. Organizational support. When you volunteer, organizations sometimes are needy. They want you to do everything. It's important that tasks get delegated, that you're not the one that does everything. I know in a lot of volunteer organizations, it's like you're the one that has to do everything. And if you don't do it, well, suddenly then it's a great big problem, right? That's what I have found out. So organizational support is key, not just from the higher ups, but on the chain of all the volunteers. You got volunteers, you've got team leaders, maybe you have management leaders, and then you have people that look over those things. Maybe you have site leaders. And so the other reason and thing that's important to understand about Fireworks is that understanding your personal growth. When you volunteer, why do you volunteer? Well, you want to become better. Okay, personal growth. Maybe you're volunteering because you want to help people, but you also want to learn a technology skill. And by volunteering, they have access to all this stuff. Maybe you want to learn robotics and you're teaching kids, or you're teaching people and you're learning it, but you're actually becoming a part of the environment. So that's personal growth. The last piece is, when is volunteering not volunteering? This is a very tough question, but one I think I need to answer. When you do a task and you feel like the task you're doing is work, or you feel like you can't get anything else done in your life, okay, you're not volunteering. Now, if this happens once in a while and you're on a big project and maybe it happens one weekend, no big deal. But if you keep noticing a pattern like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted, or I can't do this, or I can't even think about where to go or what to say or anything because I have no help. I'm the one doing everything. I'm the one that's buying everything. I'm the one that's organizing everything. I'm the one that's driving the things there. I'm the one that's packaging. I'm the one that's cleaning up. That's not volunteering, okay? That's somebody who's overworked and is going to quit because the organization doesn't have full structure. That's important that you choose to be part of an organization. And if the organization doesn't have that structure, you say, look, I am happy to help. I'm happy to pick up the groceries, or I'm happy to come here on Wednesdays from 2 to 4, or from Thursdays from 4 to 6. And I'm happy to spend time reading, or I'm happy to spend time scanning the documents, or whatever it is. But it's clear to you and to the organization what your role is. It's a good idea to put organizational tasks down on paper, even with volunteers. Because when things get too overwhelmed, what happens? People quit. It puts stress on the other volunteers. And then the main people that actually run the volunteering program, they're extremely stressed because everybody quits. So I think it's important that we have a respect for each other. We have a respect for volunteering. And we have a respect for these things that I'm telling you about. One main thing we talked about was time. Don't let any volunteer, whether it's a person, whether it's an organization, abuse your time. You set the time you're going to give, and that's it. If they're not happy with it, well, that's all you're giving. And if they're still not happy with it, maybe you shouldn't volunteer there. Making sure that there's skill matching. Maybe you're doing Habitat for Humanities, and maybe you're not comfortable using power tools, no matter how much they train you. But you're okay with, measuring, or you're okay with carrying wood, or you're okay with, hammering nails in or screwing things in, right? Or using a screw gun, but you're not okay with using a saw, like a power saw or things like that. So I'm just giving you some ideas. Cultural fit. How is the communication in that organization? How does it work? Emotional impact. We talked about that. Being prepared not just for the good impact, but also knowing that there can be some challenging parts that could sometimes dismantle a person, especially if they've never volunteered before. Organizational support. Does your organization have the support? Or are you going to be like the be-all, end-all, jack of all trades for them? And then you're going to be so hammered that you're not going to be able to do anything after you leave there. You won't be able to do your job. You won't be able to do anything with your life. You're going to just be so into this volunteering. That's not what volunteering is. Volunteering is giving a small part of your life to help make other people's lives better. It's not to complicate your own life. Let me say that again. Volunteering is not to complicate your own life. It's to give a small piece of you to help other people that may be less fortunate that can use your help. All right. And then we talked about personal growth. People volunteer because they want to feel good and they want to do the right thing and they want to grow. They might want to learn a skill. They might want to learn a language. There's lots of reasons people volunteer. But the main reason people volunteer is because they want to improve the quality of life for someone else or for a group of people. Volunteering is not volunteering when it becomes a chore. When you're getting orders instead of suggestions, or when you're finding it so stressful that you can't do anything, then you're not volunteering. You're working and not getting paid. So volunteering is something we do from the heart. It's something that we want to remember that we respect others, because if we step on people, we shouldn't step on people anywhere. But especially if we step on people in volunteering, they're going to quit. And those couple tasks that you were doing, and now 10 tasks, before you know it, you're going to be the one doing all the tasks. And that's extremely stressful. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed my rundown tonight of Fireworks of Volunteering, Series 3, Show 28, Episode 4. Sorry for the redo of the show tonight, but we did have a technical challenge again. We had lost power in the studio. And when I got back after the trip, I just got right into it. Everything looked great. But I have to always remember to check to make sure our meter lights are on. The one light was on, but the other was not. So I do apologize. I think it's the second time I've done that in 3 years. So not too bad, but I'm going to make sure that never happens again. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening. And remember, fireworks don't just happen in the sky. They happen in your workplace. They happen when you move, and they also happen when you volunteer. So be mindful of these things so that you can be a great volunteer and not let it deplete the energy that you need to use for other things in your life. Have yourself an amazing rest of your night, and I'll catch you guys real soon. All right, everyone? Be well and take care.